Yeah, welcome from Germany. Here in Germany, it's about 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. in the evening, so my kids are going to bed next time, and I hopefully think you have also a great day with the conference. Very cool stuff, very cool and informative slot sessions. Awesome speakers. I'm really excited. So I hopefully have the can do it the same like the other speakers. So let's start. Yeah, maybe it's if you come from Europe, maybe you have seen one of our shows. In one of in the show, I'm making processes as Mr. Power Magic for real world scenarios and um, connecting the dots. So we have solutions for um, the problem the users have with processes or business processes, so we can make them working flawless in Microsoft 365. Yeah, if you like my session or do you want to connect with me, take the QR code for LinkedIn or the short link for LinkedIn or my Twitter handle so you can have the contact. That is just a bio. This is only marketing stuff. We don't need this. Okay, let's start. We are only left time. So what I want to do today in this session is to show you a real world scenario we've done with Microsoft 365 as the processing center and third party stuff and connecting this with Power Automate and APIs. So mostly we work in Microsoft 365, but that's not our only one tool or suite we need or we work. So we have to work with other third-party vendors and tools because this is for line of business or something like that. And the gap between the third party and the Microsoft world is the connection and getting data from one place to the other place and get the data back or something like that. And for this, I will show you a solution we have done at our client for making document processing e-signatures, and this is about 1,000 document a month. So it's very scalable in this concept. Yeah, all of this is based on APIs from the third-party vendors. So we will see how this works. What is the process in this scenario? Yeah, surely we have a third-party software and something happens in that. Maybe you have a new customer, if it's HR or it's ERP or CRM. So anything happens, you have a trigger in this third-party software. So you will get notified, or you will have a trigger to start something to get this process working. This information from the third-party software will we need to process the way for getting things done. And in this way, in Microsoft 365, this process get the data, throw it in a Word template, generating PDFs from this, store it in SharePoint, and list and sends it to another third-party software to get an legal e-signature and get the document back, and the contract is finished. And sure, notifying some people. And this is everything we did with this process, and I will show you in the demo how we did this. Yeah, sending this to a trusted signer, getting the bag, store, and going on with the next process. So we have in this process 4 steps. First step is S1. We have the third-party input where we start our process. The second step is processing this all in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem with Power Automate and SharePoint, Word, all the stuff, OneDrive, also Teams, and so on, where the document will be proceed, get in the third step to the third-party e-signature solution, and in the last step, getting back to the M365 world, where it will be stored in document library and notify the people to move on. For the first step, in this case, our third-party vendor is StaffCloud, and StaffCloud is, like the name, is a software as a service for managing staffs for events or for, mostly for events. And this is from Switzerland, and this is for this what they do, managing events and staff. It's very cool, very good software. Nice features. You can use it. You have a very big staff pool. In our case, it's about 700 people for staff and volunteers, and you can manage anything, any kind of events. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it's a little bit less with events, but on the other hand, there are many hospitals, maybe, or not maybe, hospitals who need extra staff for managing all the cases in the hospital. And also for this kind of event, you can use StaffCloud to manage these additional staff for all these kind of events in the pandemic. And so the focus on this software is planning and managing people and events, and this, they do it very good. But on the other hand, everything else, what has to do with managing events and stuff, like contracting and something like that, they do not manage this. So we have to do it on our own. They have an API, but they do not have any webhooks yet. This is very sorry, but maybe we're hoping they will implement the webhooks very shortly, so we can use them. So because they do not have webhooks, we have to poll the API regularly. What's resist in many traffic, and that's not cool, because we can't get any triggers from the software. So we have to poll every time has any thing changed. If yes, so give me the data. Okay, in the next step, we're getting the data from the StaffCloud API. Then we will need this data to fill a Word template for the contract. It's called a base contract, where all the basically stuff and details were stored in the template in the contract. From the template, we'll create a PDF, and this PDF will be prepared for the trusted signer. So the procedures will be stored, and then we will send it to the professional signer. This is the next step, step 3. For this, we use the third-party software uSign from Europe, from France. Also, a very cool software. He's a trusted and legally signer, so you can sign everything you want, contracts, HR, whatever you want. And you can collect many signatures, or you can collect signatures from many participants. It's not only that you have only 2 people. You can have 10, 20 people if you want, or if you need. So for the regular use, maybe you know Adobe Sign or something like that, you can use it. Also, they have a web app where you can store your document. You can say the employee has to sign in this area, and then he gets a notification to sign his document. But for our case, we don't need the web app first, because we create documents programmatically. So we create thousands documents a month. We can't use a web app, and the employees can't put the drag and drop the contracts in the web app to make the signature. So this won't be well, so we have also an API. This is very, very good documented, and you can use it very well. And of course, the usign, they support webhooks. This is very, very good for our case because so we start one flow after the other. And how does it work? We initiate the signing request. The base contract or the document will be uploaded. We are waiting that everybody has signed the document. And if that happens, webhook triggers the next flow to get back the signed document and store it. And last but not least, this is the fourth step. We download the signed document from usign, store it in SharePoint. Additional metadata will be stored in the library. And of course, we'll notify the users via adaptive cards in Teams so they can move on with the process and make the rest from everything. This is the short overview of the process, but we will see this now in the demo because everything else is only for reading. Okay, so where do we going to start? First of all, we have our software. This is DevCloud, where you can see we have events. Sorry for German, but it doesn't matter. It's only for the function. We have here the employees. We have the events where the staff will be managed and planned for the event. And this is all web-based, so we do not have it on-prem or something like that. Then we have many flows created, and additionally in a SharePoint in a group we have a SharePoint list for our flows that will be needed to transfer information, store it, create the document, and then delete the information here in the document in the SharePoint list. So we do not want to pull for every piece of information. We do not want to pull the API. So we just get the information in one piece, store it here in SharePoint, processing the document, and then after that we do not need them anymore. We delete them here in SharePoint because we have them in DevCloud. Okay, let's see the first step. For the first step, I said we have a trigger or information, something happens in the software. Maybe we have here in our demo user, that's me. You see there are many information. It's in German, it doesn't matter. So the qualification, what can I do? Can I make a barkeeper, or am I able to host children or something like that? Do I have a driving license, and which type of cars I'm able or allowed to drive? Is this only a car, or is it a truck, and something like that? How do I look? Is it how tall am I? Which languages do I speak? And all these stuff, you see many information stored about every staff. So many things. And of course, every staff member has an own ID for sure. And one thing that we need for our process is this. It's the status for the base contract. And now it's in this case, it means the the base contract is already signed. And I will now say, in my case, because we do not have webhooks, we have to trigger it by polling. I say in my status now requested. So I'll make in my staff member, I say I do not have a base contract. I needed base contract, and so I request it. So what do we now do with PowerAutomate and the Microsoft 365 system? First of all, we have one flow. This is the flow for the first part. This is the part to create the base contract and get the signing request ready. So we will see how this works. No, this is the wrong. Where's my flow? Oh, do not have it here. Sorry. So this one. Let's see what happens and in this flow. So first of all, this flow is recurrent, and every day at 6 p.m. it pulls the API at the Staff Cloud service and looks if there are any staff members who have in their a base contract status the status requested. If this isn't the case, they will get all the information from this user and then will process this flow. We were gonna test it because I have this is on requested. Okay, so we can test it. Just looking if I'm in the development environment, not getting this in the production environment. So now we're going to test it and we'll see what happens. Okay. I'll translate every step. So you do not have to learning German. So, okay. First of all, the recurrence every 24 hours at 6 p.m., but now we tested it. And then the question, isn't there any staff member who has a requested base contract? Yes, there is one person in this case. That's me, the demo user. And you see there are many things we'll get back from the API. And this is because the API, if you call the API from Staff Cloud, you will get everything they have, if there is a value or not. So they send you all the thing you need, all the thing they have, but not everything you need. So you see there are many things like or many information with nothing. So we don't care. We get it with us, so it's no problem. Okay, we get the answer from the API. Then we pass the JSON about the scheme we have created from the first time we created the flow. Then we have some variables that will be initiated. We need further, and then the next step is to see if there are if the condition is true. And what is the condition? It's really easy. The condition says if we have in the header, if the content length is bigger than 2, please proceed this flow. Because if we do not get any a staff member back, we only get 2 brackets, the left and the right one. So if we only have the 2 brackets, the flow won't make this thing. Next step, we have a for each loop, because it could be that we will get more than one member here. So it has to proceed for all the members, for the staff members. So what will the for each loop do? So if we get a member back from the API, we just make formatting the date for the begin of the contract. We format a little bit the file name for the SharePoint list. That's not it's just basic for pronouncing and something like that. Next one is trimming. We had also problems with blanks in the front or at the end of a name, and this the API from user in the signer doesn't like that and throws exceptions if you have blanks in your name. So we have to trim it and be careful that this has no blanks. In the next step, we use one of the additional list in our SharePoint to create the staff member in our system, so we do not have to pull the API any longer. Next step is to get the document counter. We have a counter where we count the numbers of documents who are created and we use that for unique file names because the counter will be stored at the end of the file name. So we have then a counter with trailing O's or zeros, so we have the right numbers. Okay, this is then the next step. You have to add one to the counter because you have to write them up. And then there's a big part. This is where the magic happens. We are using the premium connector to get Word templates, and we fill this Word template with all these things, with these information, what we have seen here in the web app. All this stuff will be get in the Word document. From the Word document, we will create a PDF. This is the OneDrive connector. And for all these stuff, for something from these connectors, you will need a premium license because not everything is in the standard. But there's also a thing I will show you how you can do this. Okay, we'll get the PDF. The PDF will be stored in the document library, and then we'll fill with additional information, metadata. So we have all the things we need. Then we do not need the Word document any longer, so we delete it. And the next step is to update the status of the base contract in StaffCloud, because if the API polls every time and looks if somebody requests a new base contract, we have to make sure that we say he doesn't need any longer request a new base contract because we have already done this. So I'm just updating and looking. So the first was requested, and now it's created. So the document is created. This gets back from this flow back to the StaffCloud. Okay, next step, we'll get the server document stamp for the signature from our CEO, because our CEO don't want to sign thousands of documents manually every month. So we'll get a signing stamp into the document, so it's already signed from the CEO. So we do not have to do this manually. This picture or this PNG will be translated in base 64. So we can upload this base 64 hash into the document. So next step is to upload the base contract itself, the PDF, and in the next step we upload the server stamp to get this server stamp into the PDF on specific places. And this is what we can see next. You can see this here, maybe just it's a little bit small. Can make this in this case here. Sorry for that. So what you can see here now is that you can say on which page of this document on which position the server stamp will be placed. And also what you can see now is if the server stamp is successfully implemented in this document, they will get a new webhook or call a webhook for the next flow. So in this case, the service stamp is uploaded into our base contract and is signed from the CEO. So, and the next step is for this first step, for this first PowerAutomate is, okay, I've created the base contract, I've loaded it, or I prepared it for the signing process, and I started the next process, the signing process itself in the with the webhook. So in the next step, we're just waiting 10 seconds, and in the last step, we delete the PDF what we've uploaded into the signing because we don't need it any longer in SharePoint. Because if we store every 1,000 documents we create in the month, we'll get a very big library, and we do not need this data, so we'll delete it. That was the first part of our process. So in the first step, we have information from the Staff Cloud API. We get it. We fill it in our document template or in our Word template. We'll make a PDF, send it to the signer, sign it with our server stamp from the CEO. And now we are going in the second step to create the signing request with the participants, so the staff. And this is the second part. And you will see the first step was creating this document. And the second step, we're just looking. For 9 minutes ago, successful. Whew. So the second step is getting the was triggered by the webhook from the server stamp. So the server stamp it was already successfully implemented, and we are here now saying the expiration date for the signing request is 7 days. So if the staff member does not sign the document in the next 7 days, the signing process will stop. So this is the variable we are here creating. Then next step is to get the data we stored in our SharePoint list, so we do not have to pull the other API any longer, get our dates, because everything we need, the ID from the SharePoint list, we'll get it here in the answer. We are getting the information we need to fulfill our signing request, and this is the step where the procedure for the signing will initiate it. In this step, we say what we want to do. We want to initiate a procedure for signing a document. The document we have already uploaded to uSign. So please, in the document which is already signed from our CEO, please say that there has to sign the member at this place on page 4, page 9, and so on and so on. So and this is prepared in this step. So there you can see, like in the other picture on page 12, on this position, this is the demo user who has to sign, and in which file it is the file we have already uploaded to the trusted signer. This is what happens in this step. This is the API from uSign, surely. Then we'll get back an ID from the procedure. And this ID in the last step to check if everything has successfully, then we say start the procedure. What happened in this procedure? This is the next step. Maybe I can see it here. It's like in the first step from the other flow. Sorry. This is the same, and you can see it here. If the member has finished, or the members, maybe it could be more than one. If the members have finished to sign this document, start the next webhook and start the next flow for getting the document back. So in this step, we have initiated the signature and the signature process has started. So I can look in my email, and I should have, yeah, get an email. Your base contract is ready to signing. Hello, Max. Please sign your document, and then I only click on this, and then you will see the web app from uSign where you can sign as a participant. You do not need a account or something like that at uSign. If you only want to sign a document, you can do it this way. And you see this is our PDF. It's about 12 pages. And you see on each page, here are all my information that we had in the Staff Cloud member information, and you see I have to sign in this way. This is the server stamp from the CEO, and we have to sign on this place, and we have to sign on this place, and this is the staff member information. You can see all the information here are coming from this place, and this is stored here in the Word document template and filled in, so we have to sign it at least. And last but not least, to sign this document electronic or e-signature, you will always need at least a mobile for getting a SMS, and you need an email address. And now I will get the code, push it in, and say I will make it unique. Just this one. Okay. Done. And so if I have signed the document, I can then download the finished document. So everything for me, the process is ended. But from the other perspective, from the from our process, it's not ended. So this was the second step, creating the signature process and getting ready. So from the webhook, the process step one said we are ready. You can sign this document. In this process, we have already prepared and started the procedure. And when everybody has signed this document, we'll send a webhook to the next flow to say, okay, we are ready. We have done. You can get the document back. And this is the last step in this scenario. This is the third part from our process, getting the document back from the signer. And this, you can see, is already done. And in this step, the webhook started, triggers our flow. We'll get the information, what we need for our to get the document back. Some variables we initialize for filling additional metadata in the Microsoft SharePoint list, like the end date of the base contract. We have the begin date, and the end date is the begin date plus 1 year. So we can create this directly from this flow. And what happens here? We, like the step before, we get our employee data back from our SharePoint list, what we've stored already there. The data we need, we just formatted the date with the European points. It's a day, point, month, point, year. So we have to format it a little bit, saying when the base contract ends, the employee ID, and then in this step we'll get the signed document back. So we check in this step. We check, is the signed document ready? Can we get it back? And send us all the details. Then the API says yes, it's all ready. You can get it. We pass the JSON here, and then in this step we download the file as a raw format. From the usign, we have the ID where we can get it, and if we have the document back from usign in the raw format, we'll store it in the document library where it belongs in our system. So it will be stored as a PDF, and we'll get some metadata provided. So everything what we need will be stored in this document library. And of course, in this step, we go back to Staff Cloud and say the status of the employee of the base contract is not created, it is already signed. This is then the last step. So maybe this way, no. Just looking, if you can see here, this is now the status is signed, the contract. So this get back to the Staff Cloud. And last but not least, because we have successfully created the document, we'll notify our users with a adaptive card in the channel in a Microsoft Teams team. This looks like this. You can see it here. There's a new base contract signed. A new base contract was signed. Please provide the staff member with the necessary information. What is the name of the staff member? From which day begins the base contract? And here we have a button to get directly to the PDF in the SharePoint, so we can directly show it here, and you see it's the same document we signed already. Or you can get to the member in Staff Cloud by clicking on the adaptive card. So you can see in the flow, the members are, or the users are in their environment where they belong in Microsoft Teams all day, so they don't have to switch to another program, so they can stay in Teams. And the last step is to delete all the information we already had in our SharePoint list to provide these steps of information. This is one thing I want to show you, and the next thing, I'm just looking on the timetable. What you can see here is just here, documents, Vorlagen. Yeah, what you can see here, this is the template. It's a standard in the online view. It doesn't fit the layout, but if you open it in the app, you will see that it's okay. This is our document template, and you see we have already all these fields which will be filled by the data from the Staff Cloud, which we will do in the PowerAutomate flow. This is one thing, and the next thing is we have all these documents then stored, not here, in another, this is in the finally documents will be stored in another library in another team because it belongs to another team. And this is everything we only need for helping to get the process flow. Because just one thing, because we do not have webhooks yet in Staff Cloud, we have to deal with something. What happens if we manually have to process the documents, because maybe there is an event and you have a staff member who is already must be on the event, and you can't wait till the next day till 6 p.m. Till the next recurrence flow will start. So we had to deal with it. How can we make a manually without having webhooks and without polling every 10 minutes the API? So for this case, we had created a Power App, and this is the point for dealing with different license different with premium and standard license for the users who need it. We have about 20 users who who are working with the whole Staff Cloud thing, but they do not all have a premium license to get the flows working, because that would be much too. Nobody can pay that. So we had to deal this also, and we have done this with a Power App, and I will show you this Power App just for short. We've created a little Power App which every user has in this team who needs it has access to. And you see this is for the base contract. You can say request a base contract, and all you need is the ID from the employee. And if you have the employee and you click on request the base contract, I don't want to do it. This is production, so I don't want to do it here. But what happens if you get here the ID from the employee and click on base contract requesting? So this can be what I said already. Every user can do this, but every user has only his standard Microsoft 365 license. There's no premium license. What happens in the background, you see here, there's a list, a SharePoint list, and this is our trigger list. So if you request manually a base contract, you create a new element in this list. So this can be done by everybody, everybody who wants to or works with this app. So no problem. But what happens? So and this is why we can provide everybody with a standard license, but there's one user, a functional user who has the premium license, and this premium user or this functional user is watching the SharePoint list and says, every time when an element is created, I will start my premium process. And this is the same process like the first process for creating the document and prepare it for signing. With the difference that in this case, we only get one member back, because we only provide one member if you request this manually. But the rest of this is all the same, like the first process we already had done. So this is a chance to deal with the different license in the Power Platform, and how you can make a trigger list to trigger your premium flows. And yeah, so I don't know, are there any questions, Simon?
Andreas, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, so what you see, we have done these flow in 4 steps, 3 flows in 4 steps. So just switching back to my PowerPoint. Let me see. And this is the rest, or to the end, the conclusion of this, what we've done. This was very hard work for me because I'm not a developer, but it was very, very fun to make this happen. And if you can see what happens when there will be thousands of documents automatically created, and they are all legally signed and so on. This was very fun. So what is the conclusion of this for you to tell you? Beware of the APIs from the third-party software. Like I said, the one API gets you back everything they have, but you do not want. So you have to deal with the schema, because this was one of the mainly parts what throws us many exceptions to deal with. Check the documentation of the APIs, and if you do not have a well-documented API, just take another window. It doesn't matter. So you're going crazy if there is no doc for the API. And test is something you have to do every time. Still testing because everything. I don't know how much we tested, how long we tested, but many times. And this is what I said. In many cases, you need premium connectors, but there are some things you can manage with or deal with premium connectors. So take a functional user who only needs a premium license to create all the flows and work with trigger list or something like that. And don't trust the marketing bullshit from the vendors. This is one part we had to deal with. Not everything what's on the package is in the package. So this was it. And for this, yeah, stay safe and thank you very much.